If you'd like to stand, now that we've had that interlude, we can sing our new call to worship, which should be coming up on the screen any minute now. Okay. I won't. Two. We'll give you a nice little intro first. 1, 2, 3.
Picking up where we left off last week, music-wise. Well, welcome everyone. And for those of you who thought you needed a cup of coffee this morning, you didn't. So, my name is Michael Robold, and I'm assisting the service today, and we're pleased to have Reverend Kit Holmes back. So let's begin with a little quiet time as we go within an opening prayer. And we do give thanks that we are alive with the Spirit of God, which is why we are here. Because we could be in so many other places. But we have been guided to be here. And for that we give thanks. And we give thanks for all the blessings that have come to each and every one of us, along with all of the things that we didn't ask for. And yet when we look back, it is my hope, and I'm sure it's your hope, that you see the lessons that you've learned, that we've all learned. Because it's through the struggles, the challenges, that we find our true self, the strength within, the Christ within. And we know that there is purpose in our life, and whenever we are in need, we are not alone. And for this we give thanks. Amen. Screens and together affirm our statement of unity. Together, I trust and live in the infinite flow of abundant good.
And if you'd like to stand, we'll sing our next song. I can do anything, make up my mind to do. I've got a thing inside that I was designed to do, and nothing can hold me back if I don't want it to, 'cause I can do anything I make up my mind to do. 'Cause if I can think, then I can dream, and what I can dream, I can believe, and when I believe, then I will see. I can do anything, anything. I can be anyone that I decide to be. I've got a great big dream growing inside of me, and no one can bring me down, 'cause I know what's right for me. I can be anyone that I decide to be, 'cause if I can think, then I can dream, and what I can dream, I can believe, and when I believe, then I will see. I can do anything, anything. I can do anything I make up my mind to do. I've got a thing inside that I was designed to do, and nothing can hold me back if I don't want it to, 'cause I can do anything I make up my mind to do, 'cause I can do anything I make up my mind to do.
Well, we have a few announcements this morning. The lineup for the Sundays in November, as I mentioned, Kit Holmes is here today, and again on the 20th. On the 13th, Shoka, an ordained Buddhist priest, will be here. And rounding out the team is Reverend Judy Grimes on the 27th. If you are interested in becoming a official member of Unity, or you're just interested in learning more about the depth of what Unity is all about, we have a membership pathway class coming up. Actually, it's 3 classes. They're all in November, and we've set the schedule back 1 week because of a calendar conflict or a scheduling conflict. So the 13th, 20th, and 27th are the dates for those classes. And they'll begin following the service. They'll last about 90 minutes. And there's a sign-up sheet with the schedule out in the foyer. So again, for those who are interested, please feel free. There is no membership fee, no charge for the classes. And if you've been coming to Unity for quite a while, you know that we don't have a specific expectation about how we operate in terms of your support, but we do need your support, so we always appreciate that. I'm going to turn this mic over to the president of the board, who has an announcement. Bob White.
Thank you, Michael. Back in September, we got together and decided to start a fundraising campaign in an effort to pay off the mortgage. That was a few years ago. Pay off the kitchen loan. I'm happy to announce that we did that. It's because of everyone sitting in this room with the support you gave, however that was given. Between our contributions and the match that was set up, we will be able to ink that check to the bank next week. So we are debt-free as of next week. I have always been impressed by what seems like unending generosity of this congregation. Whenever we've been called upon for a specific task, we can assume that it's done. I want to thank again everyone who has helped in this effort, even if it's just praying for us and being here and supporting us in whatever way you could. I'd also like to give a shout out to Paul Carbonell, who's right over here. Paul was the individual who planted the seed at a board meeting of, why are we paying interest for this? And to see if there was a way that we could come up with where we could take care of that and not have to worry about it and not pay anybody a penny other than those folks we have to pay on a monthly basis for our normal expenses. So thank you to each and every one of you. I feel blessed to be with this group and this congregation, and just thanks.
Well, Bob is the president, and we have Paul, Libby, Meg. Is Brooke here? No. Well, those are our board members currently, and we do have an annual membership meeting coming up in February, and perhaps you are thinking, I would like to be on the board. Are you thinking that? Well, whether you are or not, the applications are open for anyone who wants to serve on the board. And all you have to do is talk to any of the current board members or previous board members, of which there are many in the room, and find out how much fun they're having, and maybe you'd want to join in that. So the information about what is involved in being a board member is available on the table in the lobby, and then we're going to have a meeting after the service November 6th. That's next week. Wow. There's something else happening next week as well. I'll get to that in a minute. But the deadline for applications is December 11th. So you've got a long time, sort of, to be thinking about this. But first, you have to be a member. So if you're thinking about being on the board and you're not a member yet, make sure you take care of the membership part first. So next Sunday also from 1 to 3:30, just so happens that it's my wife, Libby Robold, who's going to be offering a wonderful workshop on meditation. And it's not just the typical sitting and meditating aspect for 2.5 hours, because you're going to learn in depth about what is meditation, how do I meditate, what benefits can I expect from meditation, and where should I be meditating? Do I have to meditate in a certain place? Do I have to sit a certain way? And so on and so forth. And we know that during our services we always have a short time of meditation, but this will give you an opportunity to really go in depth and learn more from someone who's been meditating well, since she was a child. 8 years old, I think, she was starting to meditate, or even earlier. I'll let her tell you about that next week, keeping you in suspense. But along with this workshop is a love offering of suggested $25. You can give more if you want, because it's all going to the church, so it's a fundraiser. And hopefully many of you will be coming here to participate next Sunday, as well as those who want to find out more about what is involved in being a board member. There's going to be a movie coming up on Friday, November 11th, right here in the church at 7 o'clock. It's by the Compassionate Choices group. It's called Call to Rescue is the documentary about 15 farm animal sanctuaries throughout the country. But it's also going to be hosted or created actually by a local family, Naomi and Logan Call. Are they here today? Maybe not. They will be here for your questions and answers. They'll have the answers, you have the questions, after the film. So everyone's invited, and as far as I can tell, there's no fee on this. Just an opportunity to learn in depth about some animals that we are all familiar with. And right down our road, we have a farm family that has adopted 2 cows, maybe 3, who are going to be spending their life happily in the pasture and not on somebody's dinner table. So I'm not saying that you have to be a vegetarian or a non-meat eater to be in unity, because you don't. But it was through the founders, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, who adopted their own lifestyle and dietary example that they set for those who eventually would form Unity Church, which that was never their intention. Wednesday morning coffee club. That's beginning next week at Big B Coffee in the East Bay Plaza. The meeting's it starts at 9:30. I don't know how long it'll last. That'll be up to who shows up and what you have to talk about. Lastly, I see there's a list of November birthdays. Are they showing up on the screen, or should I announce those? Did we want to sing happy birthday? It's only October. I think we should wait till November. But just to give you a heads up, Lori Weldon on the 5th, Bob White on the 12th. So you were pretty close together, probably the same year and same day, same hospital. Tim Skiba is not here, but he's on the 19th. And maybe somebody else who we missed has a November birthday. It's a wonderful month because Thanksgiving. So it's time for a congregational song. I hope I left enough time for Kit. I didn't put these announcements together. See.
You can remain seated for the song. All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart and my soul.
Thank you. And now it's time for that meditation. A time to go within. A time to position ourselves in a manner that is simultaneously relaxing and yet very alert. And we let the mind's attention focus on one aspect of our being. For some, it's the breath, that in and out flow, that constant life-giving aspect of our being. And for others, maybe the mind's focus is on some place in the body where there might be some pain or discomfort. Or we may be focusing our mind's attention on the needs of another, a person, a group, possibly a country. Whatever it is, we remain present. Our body is here, and the idea is to keep the mind here. Here, focusing on one thing. Keeping the mind as still as possible. Relaxed and alert. Aware, awake, perhaps even listening. For within each of us, the Christ presence, that still small voice, simply listen. In the silence, perhaps you heard nothing. Perhaps your mind wandered. Perhaps you're wondering, what next? There is no right or wrong. It just is. And the power of meditation, this meditation, may not come to your realization until later today or during the week. The benefits are many. And for now, we simply say, Amen.
Where I am, God is. Where I stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. As me, where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing freely in and out and through me. As me, for when I doubt, God is the faith in me. Where I cry, God is the comfort there. Where I seek, God is the answer. Here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. Where I work, love is my career. Where I play, God is playing boldly in and out and through me. As me, where I am, where I stand, where I play, where I work and breathe and move and be, where I sing, where I dance my dance, my dance, wherever I go. Where I pray and take and give and live, God is. God is. God is. God is.
And once again, we're proud to present here at Unity of Traverse City, Kit Holmes.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carol. That was a beautiful song. And Absolutely the heart of the talk this morning. That's all we need to know, isn't it? Wherever we are, God is. Whatever we do, God is. Whatever we say, whatever we think, whatever we believe, God is. Period. That's it. Have a great day. See ya. Thank you. Appreciate that. Really. We are coming into tomorrow, of course, Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and Day of the Dead, all coming up this week, where all of the traditions over all of the centuries have been kind of rolled into this one place, which points right back to wherever we are, God is. Whatever we do, God is. Whoever was here before us were expressions of God. We celebrate, we remember, we bring them forth. We talk about the veil being thin, of the connection between here on earth in human form and the spirit world. I think the veil is always thin, personally. There are other times that I forget about that, but I think we are always in constant contact, or we have the ability to be in constant contact, simply through the mental capacity we have to have memory in our hearts about those that have gone before, that we have loved and cared for. It's a powerful time. We're in a powerful time of in this country in particular, knowing there's another event coming a week from Tuesday that we'll talk about next week a little bit. I want to talk about next week. I'll be back next week and talk about the hero's journey. And today is actually part one of part two of two parts. I don't know why that came out that way. That's okay. And it's a thing called fear to faith. It's a process that I use. It's a process that my mentors have taught me. It's a process that's been around some of the New Thought circles for a very long time. And the gist of fear to faith is you go into the fear. What is the current fear? What's in your face right now? What is up for you right now? And you look at that fear, and then you go back to a time, and you go all the way back, and you say, the first time I remember in my life, what was the event? What was the thing that happened that brought that fear forward? What was the first time I remember ever having that feeling? And you sit with the feeling. It's uncomfortable. It usually brings tears. But you sit with the feeling to know what that is. And you address it. You say, hello, it's been living in my body all these years. And then we move to the faith part of it. And we say, if we go to the complete polar opposite, and we say, if everything is working out as I would like it to, what would it look like? Not only would it look like, but more importantly, what would it feel like? What would be the feeling state with it? And then we go into that, and we imagine, we say, okay, everything has been solved. My prayers have been answered. I am manifesting. My consciousness is manifesting in that thing that I would love to experience. What does it feel like? What does it look like? So we're taking that fear, we're moving it to its polar opposite in faith. We are shifting it in consciousness. And then to wrap it all up, there's this thing called a releasing prayer. And in the releasing prayer, we find a word of God. And the words of God, there are many, but there's like this little core of it, and it was Thomas Troward who had a list of it, and it is light, life, love, peace, power, beauty, joy. Those are the characteristics, the qualities of God, the things that we can't see, we can't draw them, we can't say this is what beauty is. I can experience a sense of it. I can look out and see the leaves today, and the drive here, and coming over the hill here and seeing the bay, and have every single time I come here, it takes my breath away. That beauty, and especially with the colors reflecting on the water. So we take that feeling tone, we take that word of God, and we move it into that prayer. And the releasing prayer is very simple, and there's a kinesthetic way of doing this. And essentially, it is I release my belief in the old thing. For example, I release my belief in separation, meaning I release my belief that I'm separate from God. I release my need to do the thing. This is part of the process of the fear to faith. The thing that we do when we go into fear behavior, coping mechanisms, survival mechanisms, those things, we take the hold of that feeling. What do we do when we go into fear? Do we withhold? Do we withdraw? Do we isolate? Do we lash out? So this releasing prayer is, I release my belief in separation. I release my need to lash out, for example. And then we go to that word of God and we say, I am grateful that God is the joy, the power, the peace, the beauty. There's a very, very short lesson that I just gave you on fear to faith, but that's what I'm basing this around. And as you will notice, it is an exercise in consciousness. Just as all of our practices in the spiritual community, in our personal lives, is about consciousness. It's getting a hold of the belief that gets in the way of us experiencing, doing, being, having things like financial flow. And that is the second part of today's title, Fear to Faith, Financial Flow. Part 2 next week will be Fear to Faith, the Hero's Journey. And it is, again, going into the consciousness, the beliefs about it. You have already demonstrated, as Bob shared with you today, you have demonstrated a fear to faith, a consciousness of moving from a place of, we have this loan hanging over our heads for the kitchen remodel. There was an intention set. There was a shift in consciousness. There was a shift in consciousness with the board that said, as Bob said, why should we pay the interest on this if we can take care of this? And I'm going to guess there was probably a little bit of consciousness around living in an infinitely abundant universe, setting an intention that this can be done. And you did it. You did it. Most of you have had the experience of that. The power of intention, the power of making a decision about something to move forward. Our financial flow, the fear to faith, I don't know about you, but I got a lot of mixed messages about the power, the love, not love of money, power about wealth, abundance, power about what money does, what it can do, what it can't do, how it's obtained. I got a lot of mixed messages in my upbringing. And as a very curious mind, there were a lot of things that just didn't make sense to me. There was a lot of shame that came with my asking questions about the things that didn't make sense to me. Can any of you relate to that? Yes. And I remember being probably, 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, and there was a particular season in the church calendar that we had, I don't know what the boxes were folded. They were folded into this little rice bowl, and of course it had all kinds of messages printed on it, and we were supposed to have our gruel, or basically our rice dinner, to certify that we were supporting the starving children in China or something like that. I don't know what it was, but I remember the mixed message was, you need to have less so somebody can have more. You need to put your pennies in the little envelope every Sunday and give it to the church. And I would be sitting in the church looking at the gold statues and the gold leaf on the ceiling and the beautiful stained glass windows and opulence. And even though I didn't know what the word opulence was at that point in my life, my little brain, my intuition, my sense of that was, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting the message here. And eventually those messages of shame about money flow right into worthiness. Well, God, if you're not given those pennies, there must be something wrong with you. You're gonna go to hell. That was just the tip of the iceberg. So think about that. We bring those in, and then the next thing we know, we're working in jobs that are below. We don't ask for what we really deserve because we don't believe we deserve it. So being in this thing of like, oh, let's get into financial flow, there's a lot of stuff that we drag around behind us that needs to be healed before we can really step into that belief that we do absolutely live in an infinitely abundant universe. I think I've shared the story that a lot of my songs started out as affirmations for myself years ago. And I remember walking my dog. I was living outside of Austin, Texas at the time, and it was, I'd been turned on to Karen Drucker and all of her chants and all of those things, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. I love that one, the prosperity chant. And so I was like, I'm going to create my own. And I'm walking down the street with my dog, and I started looking just like today. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to rhyme. I'm going to do all this stuff. Every leaf on every tree is another $1 in the bank for me. Thank you. Thank you. And what that does, and the rhyming helps too. That's what chants work, because it's easy. It sticks in your brain. But all you have to do is look outside the windows right now. The leaves on the ground, you could not count. The ones that are still on the trees, the needles on the pine trees, we could not count. We've heard that. We can't go downtown and go on the beach and count the grains of sand. We'd be there for eternity. Infinity. We live in an infinitely abundant universe. So how do we get into the flow of that? That is always the question. How do I stand up here and say, this is what I deserve. I'm going to go tell my boss today. Right? Or I'm going to start this thing. And how do I get past this point in my own business if I'm an entrepreneur, if I own a business? How do I up level? We can, and we push our edges, and we take classes, and we read books, and we do all of those things. And we push our growing edge. That's usually how it works. It's secret. It's the only way it works. You got to push your growing edge. You got to push that comfort zone. And if you read all of this, any of the prosperity books, if you've taken any of the prosperity classes and any of the New Thought stuff, it doesn't matter how long ago the book was written. It doesn't matter. The Fillmores talked about it. Ernest Holmes talked about it. Everybody talked about it before them. One of the first things, and I think it goes way back to this little book called the Bible. Here comes the big word. Everybody take a deep breath. It's called tithing. Is there not a bunch of stuff around that too? The mixed messages that I got. I understand now there is a spiritual principle involved in it that nobody can explain why it works, but it does. Catherine Ponder, Eric Butterworth, Spiritual Economics. How many of you are familiar with Edwene Gaines from years and years ago, that wonderful unity minister from Alabama? She is just a delight. Every single one of them talks about circulation, the law of circulation. There are 3 parts to being in financial flow. There is the circulation of it. There is the releasing of it. There is the assimilation of it. And you got to have all 3 parts to move things around. If we're talking about the seasons of life, the circular nation, the cyclical nature of nature, we are in a time of that right now where we are seeing where nature is releasing a lot of stuff. It's not releasing all of it. Just because the leaves are falling off the tree does not mean the tree is dying, the roots are dying, and we're done. There's some assimilation happening. There's also receiving, there's circulation happening. But there is a cycle and a time and a flow to all of it. In the releasing of the leaves, there are not only leaves going, there are acorns going. There becomes food sources for other species. It becomes here are the actual seeds going back into the ground to become new trees. We do this all the time as human beings. We do not let go of all of the oxygen that we take in. We do not let go of all of the food that we take in, all the water we take in. It is assimilated. There are a lot of prayers, there are a lot of spiritual mind treatments, affirmative prayers in New Thought about perfect circulation, perfect assimilation, perfect elimination. It's all part of being in that flow. And at any point, if we shut it off, we stop that. It becomes stagnant. We become stagnant. We create things like disease. When any part of us becomes stagnant, our feelings, when we turn off our feelings, when we turn off going, I can't feel that. It's not spiritual. I can't feel anger today. Where does it go? It stays in here. So being in the flow is about those things. Tithing is one of the parts of giving. It's a part of circulation. Again, I said it's been around forever and ever and ever, and people are just like, I can't afford to tithe. Probably need to do a little work in consciousness there. Because my response to that is you can't afford not to. You can flip your perception about this. Practice flipping your perception about this. I'm giving away 10%. Oh my God, 10% of my income. Well, guess what? You're keeping 90%. You're keeping 90% of it and circulating a minuscule amount compared to the infinite abundant nature of the universe that is available to us at all time. We cannot receive when we are gripping, holding on for dear life to those few pennies we think are the last 2 pennies on earth. That is a fear-based consciousness. It is not coming from a place of love. It is not coming from a place of faith. It is not coming from remembering that we are never separate from the infinite supply of spirit. And we are not. So how do we get past that business? Well, we start moving things, yes, practicing tithing. One of the things that Edwene Gain talks about that has stuck with me now almost 20 years from the first time that I saw her in person and read her book, The 4 Spiritual Principles of Prosperity. She said, the universe will take its 10% from you, whether you want it to or not. And Paul, you know what I'm talking, and many of you do. You get into a tithing practice, you see, wow, look at all this abundance in my life. Things just seem to magically appear. Things seem to be taken care of, and you go, okay, I got this, I'm good. And then you start letting it slide a little bit. And the next thing you know, and I have many stories about this, my own practice, the next thing you know, you get the unexpected car repair, or something in the house, your refrigerator dies, or something along the way. And I tried this one time, this experiment about this flow. I was doing awesome with my tithing practice. I kept a little notebook, everything that came in, everything I made sure I tithed on. And then I started to slip. And sure enough, about 2 or 3 weeks later, I got a rock through the windshield of my truck. I have insurance, but my deductible was greater than just going and get it paid, going and taken care of. And I sort of had this little thing from Edwene Gaines in the back of my brain, and I went, I'm going to do the math on this. And sure enough, the amount that I had refused to tithe was almost to the penny what I had to pay to get that windshield replaced. So, believe me or not, it's okay. Experiment with it. The second part of staying in the flow, of keeping things moving. This is another one you might want to take a big deep breath on. It's having a forgiveness practice, especially for ourselves. But the forgiveness stuff, you might not think is something you need. It's not forgiveness, but it might show up as things like resentment. Every time you pay the heating bill in the winter, and you grumble and you complain and go, God, look how much that costs this month. Look how much propane is. Oh my God, look how much gas is. We are moving ourselves right out of being grateful, knowing that we are infinitely supplied and supported. So our practice becomes being grateful. The two spiritual practices, the only two spiritual practices that you will ever need, are gratitude and forgiveness work. They are at the core of everything else because they take us right to those places that say, I am not worthy. It's somebody else's fault. I'm not responsible. It happened to me. I'm a victim. And all this stuff out here, it's just all chaos and it's a mess and I don't know what to do. Gratitude for everything, even the days that don't feel happy, skippy, spiritual, rainbows and unicorns. Because those days are the things that move us, and you hear me talk about this all the time, move us, reflect right in our faces saying, I have stepped away, I am feeling separate from my source, and I am not expressing that source that is living in me and as me, and there was a song about that this morning, there's always a song about that. It's showing me, so I'm grateful. I'm not happy about it, but I'm grateful, and I've learned to be grateful to say, oh, yeah, this is a place where I got a little bit more growing to do. Maybe a lot more growing to do. But thank you, God, for showing me so that I don't stay stuck in this place of being resentful and being a complainer and being whiny. And as my very dear friend says, being gripey. I love that. Today I'm feeling kind of gripey. And one more thing that brings to mind, Dale Worley, this is way off topic, but squirrel. I am alive with the Spirit of God. Y'all. Okay. I lived in Texas for 21 years. I lived in Georgia for 12 before that. Dale Worley is a friend of mine, by the way. He's in Savannah, Georgia, Unity minister. And there's a way you say, it's not you all, it's y'all. And the collective is all y'all. Okay, now that we're clear, let's move back. Okay, so here we go. Gratitude, forgiveness, those are the two practices. Forgiveness for everything, gratitude for everything. Forgiveness no matter what. That's another part of the fear to faith process, by the way. There are forgiveness prayers that go along with that. And one of them is, I forgive, fill in the blank, so-and-so, your brother, whoever, your boss. I forgive them, forgive that person for everything. Or the other version of that is, I forgive so-and-so no matter what. And let me tell you, as I'm running out of time here today, I had a big old dose of forgiveness work this week with some things that came up for me. And I've been praying that forgiveness prayer for a while. I forgive so-and-so no matter what. And things this week kept dropping in and showing up to saying, do you really mean it? And you know what it tied to? My financial flow. And I had to really dig, probably about Thursday, Friday this week. And it dropped in meditation, and I went, I asked for this. I asked to understand. I asked to have anything in me, any subconscious belief, anything that did not serve me, that was getting in the way, of my financial good. And the thing getting in the way is a belief. And it's tied to my unwillingness, or right now, I want to be mad. I want to be mad, dang it. But I have to do the forgiveness work, and I have to be willing. Willingness is also it's actually the first step in the flow. And if you're not willing, at least be willing to be willing to step in consciously into the flow of forgiveness and gratitude work. To be willing to let go of those ideas, even if you don't have a full concept of what that idea is or that belief is. Be willing to look at it. Be willing to be open to say, really it comes down to, I don't want to live with this pain anymore. By the way, this person that I'm forgiving hasn't been on the planet for a number of years. Yeah. So I'm carrying junk that it's like, then I as I'm saying it to you today, and I've said it to some witnesses and some meetings that I was in Friday and Saturday of this week. It sounds kind of illogical, doesn't it? Like, why would I do that? It's called shame. And it goes right back to that sense of unworthiness and not being in the flow, and that I don't deserve to be in the flow, and yada, 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 yada. Our spiritual practice, gratitude and forgiveness, keeps us in financial flow. The universe, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it, withholds absolutely nothing from us. The divine givingness of spirit is right here, right now, in this moment, every single moment. And all we have to do is tap into it and believe that we can and that we are deserving of receiving. And if there's work to do, do the work. Baby steps. Start now. Start now. Or you will be another season a year from now going, I think she said something about that last year. Maybe I should do something about that today. I don't know. I know we're running a little bit late, and that's okay, if you're okay with that. I just want to finish up. No, I do not. No, I just looked at it and said, no. Just know. Just know that there is the flow. And then you go, well, how do I just know? Forgive. Gratitude for everything, period. Let that be your mantra for the rest of the day, for the rest of this week. Move from fear to faith by taking a little bit of a look. It will not kill you. I'm here to tell you it will not kill you, to look at the feeling, to feel the feeling. It will actually probably save your life if you let the feeling out. You are sourced, infinitely supplied, unconditionally loved. Know that, trust that. And then know just the word fear. There's a lot of acronyms for it. False evidence appearing real. The one that I just learned last week was find everything. Is that the right one? No. There's a couple of them. Everything is all right. Fear is, that's what it is. Forgetting everything is all right. Faith. Focus all in the highest. Focus all in the highest. Just keep turning back to God. Thank you all for allowing me to be here today. It's good to see you again. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Kit. I don't know about the rest of you, but that was a lesson I certainly needed to hear. And thank you, Bob, for telling us that we're debt-free, but expenses continue. And I don't think we could add a better lead-in to today's prosperity time of, first of all, thanking you. That's our gratitude. Gratitude for all of you attending and all of you contributing. And yes, there might be some who have not so much to contribute at this time because of circumstances. Well, I can tell you that, as Kit said, the leaves are falling. There's a broom, and there's several brooms. Snow will be falling. There will be shovels. Volunteers to keep the sidewalks cleared so that people don't fall and hurt themselves on the church property, and then we get a lawsuit, and then we're back in debt again. There is no fear here. Because those people will show up. We do have the driveway and the parking lot plowed, but we do appreciate those of you who could come here early enough to do a little sweeping of the leaves, clearing the sidewalks, shoveling the snow, and so on. So we all can make a contribution. And again, the expenses of the church and in some future date, a minister will be in place, and there will be further expense involved there. So let's take a look at our affirmation for our prosperity and say that together. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you. And so it is.
I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things, that shapes my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things, that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. If you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light, I am more than meets the eye. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things, that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things, that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. If you ask me what am I am beauty, I am joy, I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things, that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things, that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light that brightens someone's dark changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ernie. Thank you, Kelly. He just left. There he is. Thank you. So thank all of you for coming, and for anyone who might be here for the first time, we do have a packet of information, and we do have refreshments and fellowship at the other end of the church. Everyone is welcome. And also we have prayer chaplains available for anyone who would like to see someone personally, privately, to be with you for any of your personal needs. One will be right here and another in the foyer area. If you have questions about the meditation workshop next Sunday, there is a flyer, and Libby's right here. She could answer any questions you might have. And thanks for the service assistants, the greeters, and AJ in the booth. As I said, all of this is just part of what goes into a service, and your financial support is certainly essential and appreciated. So let's gather now in a circle. And as we gather around, we see the faces of those who have shared this time together. We are grateful for each and every one who's here, grateful for those who would love to be here but couldn't attend, and grateful for all the blessings in our life. And let's give thought right now to those in our life, those who are still in our life, those who have made a difference in our life, those who are no longer in our life. May we be grateful for each and every one of them. And may we also forgive all those who we perhaps don't feel grateful for. But most importantly, we must forgive ourselves for anything we've ever done that didn't live up to our expectation. Perhaps we have set the bar a little too high, but then again, let's keep that bar high and recognize that we are simply humans. Or perhaps we are significantly spiritual entities living a human experience. Grateful for all. And let's close with our prayer for protection and the peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God